Welcome to Portugal and the Rolex TP52 World Championship Cascais 2022. We have 9 fully loaded international teams on super fast TP52 Grand Prix monohulls, and they're going to be fully tested here at this world famous Atlantic sailing venue. This is of course round 2 of the 52 Super Series 2022, and Quantum Racing comfortably took round 1 in Bayona last month in May. Platoon and Phoenix scrapped it out for 2nd and 3rd. The 2021 champions sled finished mid-table, but here in Cascais all 9 teams are now reset and going big for round 2 and challenging for the World Championship. Cascais has a reputation for big waves and big winds, and everybody comes to Cascais hoping for that. Will Cascais deliver, and who will take the overall win here in Portugal? It's the Rolex TP52 World Championships in Cascais, and the world title is at stake. Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome to Cascais in Portugal. As we said, the world title is at stake. Today is the big finale, the big Saturday showdown. There's just 3 points separating Quantum Racing from Platoon. 2 teams which know how to win world championships, have won in the past. Quantum have won 3 times. Platoon have won twice, and it's wide open. They say just 3 points in it as we go on the water. The great news is that we have the what we call the typical Platoon. Cascais conditions. We have 22 knots of breeze on the water. The surf is starting to roll in. I'm joined by Vasco Serpa. Now, Vasco is the CEO of Sail Cascais, and a long-time, lifetime sailor here in Cascais. So finally, Cascais is delivering.
Yes, finally we have the Cascais medicine. Today is the first day. I think you came 1 week earlier. We had that low pressure in the Finisterre that didn't allow the weather pattern that is provided by the Azores High to really fill in. So today is the first day on north winds, and along the next week we're going to have a bit more of a breeze. I think everybody was looking for these. Eventually, we're only able to deliver on the last day, but I think everybody will be happy.
That will do. That will give us a big finale, as I say, between Quantum and Platoon. There's some teams not too far behind, but a little bit of inconsistency through the fleet. Quantum have been best, although they had an error yesterday in the second race that dropped them 3 or 4 places, and that is really what has tightened things up. But the good thing with this light wind week, it's really been very, very open. But yeah.
Yes, I think the good thing about these light winds and the weather pattern have been a bit different from usual. Is that things were a bit how do you say, a bit more volatile, and people were winning races and then falling back a little bit on the table. But now with these conditions, I think everybody knows them. Everybody has experienced them, and they are pretty stable. So I think who is going to nail those starts and get the right hand side of the course, and just let's see who is going to...
You make it sound simple, but one of the key things for the 52 Super Series and these boats just now is in Bayona. We were there last month. It was very light. I think we saw one day into maybe 12, 15 knots. But otherwise, everybody's been racing in light winds, and this is the big day. And you know, even the back end of last season, some of the owner drivers were not with us, and so it's all new for them. So a lot of tension on the water.
Yes, I suppose so. Look, when the breeze fills in like it's going to be today, we have 22 knots right now on the upwind mark. It's all about that boat handling and maneuvering. And just by me claiming that it's simple, what you want to do, it doesn't mean that it's going to be simple. Actually, it's going to be more difficult because everybody wants to do the same, to execute what they want to do. So because... that will be a fight for that right-hand side, of course. That
is what world champions do, isn't it? Execute perfectly under pressure. Anyway, not too much pressure in terms of the wind strength yesterday. I think we saw over 10 knots, but we had 2 good races and 2 different winners. It's another light wind start to race number 7 of the series, and the battle is to get out to the right. Sled get out there early and dominate round the top windward mark. Quantum Racing in 2nd. Gladiator have a nice beat, get round in 3rd with Phoenix in 4th. Then it's really down the final run. The leading order is Sled, Quantum Racing, Gladiator, but Phoenix managed to get through Gladiator and steal 3rd place. The winners are Sled, 2nd Quantum Racing, and 3rd Phoenix. Just a little bit more breeze for the second race of the day, maybe a knot or two more than the previous start, and the breeze is more to the right. The battle is off the committee boat end of the line. Prevets to get a nice start at the boat end, get out to the right early. Platoon come in from the middle right and come round in second, with Allegra in third. Quantum are coming in close and manage to get sandwiched in the approach to the mark. They have to jibe round and come in, and they're actually 8th round the top mark, and that really does cost them. At the leeward gate, it's Prevets on the right hand mark. Platoon get the left hand mark looking downwind, and that is the advantage going upwind round the top mark. It's Platoon leading with Prevets second, and through the finish line it is a good win for Platoon. Indeed, then that race win for Platoon, and that costly error for Quantum Racing at the windward mark, his second time up, is really what has set up this big finale. I say 3 points between the top two teams just now, both past world champions. Phoenix just a little bit further behind, but look at Quantum's scoreline, 222, 33, 626. That otherwise would be a winning tally, but it's all about these two races today. We're in great conditions. We should run two fast, exciting races back to back. And then Platoon pretty consistent, win two races, but otherwise 5-3-4, 1-6, 4-5-1. They're 3 points behind, as say. Past the world champions, they've never won here. Their best has been third, I think, in 2015, 2018 it was, in the world championships. They've struggled for speed when it's been above 20 knots, downwind in particular, just designed off the boats. The Rolex boats are not quite as good as the Botine boats in the stronger breeze, particularly downwind. But the Platoon team know how to win, they know how to sail their boat, and I know we spoke with Harmuller Spreer. He's determined, super determined to show Quantum who's boss here. And Phoenix, so Phoenix had a couple of bad results, that 8th really, and also yesterday or a couple of days ago, they were over the start line, had to recross and fought back to that 4th. But otherwise, they've just had one or two little problems, little errors creeping into their sailing, and that's what's cost them just now. But only 5 points off second, and 8 points. I mean, anything can happen today. We want to see Phoenix really performing in the breeze, and we know that they're determined to do that. Otherwise, Allegra, really roller coaster regatta for them, 1-8, 1-9, 5-1. The only team to have won 3 races over the course of the season, over the course of the regatta so far, but a team which could still have the potential to get onto the podium. Look at that, there's only 3 points between Sled and Phoenix, so third step in the podium is going to be one battle as well as the battle for the overall title. So what's your thinking in terms of strategies today then? It's a very much a right-hand racetrack. Not everybody can get the key position on the boat. Not everybody can get the key position on the starboard tack lay line. It's also going to be how the start line is set up and how we get off the start line, isn't it?
Well, you know, I've learned to sail here for 40 years. I sail here every year, every month. We have 2 races. Knowing the conditions, it's probably not very likely. We say Cascais is like your wife; she's always right. So you better go to the right. If in one of those days that is weak, maybe you feel brave enough, you can try a little bit and get yourself under pressure on the left. But I think with the wind filling on along the whole course, I think the right is pretty much favored. But the caveat is, knowing the race committee, they will favor the pin end probably 10 degrees. So to shake things a little bit up and to mix things.
Well, what was interesting, we saw that yesterday with Platoon in the second race. They had worked out just exactly that there was enough bias that if they got the perfect start and the perfect upwind, they would certainly be in the top 2, top 3. But it's all about risk management, isn't it?
It's all about risk management. And the thing is, you want to go to the right, probably have that pin end 10 degrees favor. The question is how long you will be able to hold on before you tack, because you have the rest of the fleet that probably will nail a good start too. And it's tough. So I will go for a compromise. It's tough. Depends on how much that pin end is really favored at the end and how fast you can go off the tracks.
And exactly, in downwind, we should see some waves.
Yes, downwind, I will definitely go for the pressure on the right-hand side of the course and the waves at this time of the day. So you'll see pretty good surfing out there and spectacular images on today's conditions.
And the breeze will build through the day, or what times?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, we were talking like 15 minutes ago. It's 1 o'clock, barely before 1 o'clock. It's already blowing 22 knots. I could expect up to go to 25 up there in the upwind leg. Probably down in the downwind marks, probably 5 degrees less. But definitely, they will be spectacular, that mark rounding at the top.
You're wishing you were out there, Vasco. You're wishing you were out there.
Well, it's whistling, definitely. It's very nice indeed. It's a great place. It's epic conditions. That's why everybody loves Cascais. And that's why I think the TP52s keep coming here. Finally and happily, we were able to deliver it, at least in the last day.
Anyway, great anticipation on the dock. We spoke to a few sailors just before they docked out for this epic day.
It's a difficult day. It's a different completely compared to the week we spent here. So a long time ago without sailing in Cascais conditions. So we need to remember how to do it. And will be a tough day because a lot of boats we are on the game. We are close to Quantum, but other boats are close to us. So it will be a big fight, I think. But I think the challenge will be to don't have big errors, and try to sail the best. But the important thing is to remember how to sail the Cascais days with big waves and big windy.
Do you feel lucky?
I don't think it's a question of lucky. I think for sure we are lucky for sure to be here and to be the options to be in the podium. This is to be lucky, and then for today we need to be working. We need to work hard, and we need to do our best for sure.
So a big day for you guys. How are you feeling?
Oh yeah, we're feeling really good. You know, we came here for good breeze in Cascais, and unfortunately the last 4 days we haven't really had it. But we survived, we're holding on. But we have 2 more races. As you saw yesterday, anything can happen. So we're going to go out, have some fun, give it our best, and see what happens.
What's the key focus then for you guys?
Oh, the key focus is just doing the basics right in the breeze. You know, good starts, fast upwind, good clean boat handling, and, you know, see where the other guys fall after that.
Make it sound simple.
It really is. When you talk about it, doing so is a whole different story.
So Vasco, it's about keeping things simple and doing the simple things well, isn't it?
Yeah, in the strong breeze, I think, you know, a race is like a blank sheet, and as you start keeping note of your errors. And the more expensive they are, when you add up and you compare to the other boats, eventually you drop down. So in these conditions, they are very demanding. A mistake is very expensive as the boat goes faster. As to recover from a mistake is heavier. So I think the more trained crews will have an advantage, and the people that already sail these conditions. But I think these guys are all pretty good, so let's see.
But I mean, you do a lot of coaching. What would your messages be to the teams just now in terms of executing under pressure?
Well, it's tough, you know. You see the separation of the gap between Platoon and Quantum. I think both teams are under pressure. One has to perform, the other has to defend. But you know, they will keep a close eye on each other for the whole for the 2 races, unless of course one has a really bad race on the first race. But of course, these are pretty experienced teams, and I think they will play it a little bit conservative. I don't think they want to blow it off the track straight away. So I think they're going to go.
How critical is the start then?
Well, I don't think they want. I think both teams will keep an eye. They will stay together, and they will not. My guess is they will not go very bold on the start. You know, these are quite experienced sailors. You know, there are old sailors and there are bold sailors, but a few are old and bold. And
I think we've got some in this fleet.
Yes, well, you have to be enough. You know, you don't make it. But I think my guess is if they go too aggressive in the first start, they might blow their chances straight away. So I think at least on the first race, they're going to go hold their horses a little bit. So let's see.
And reliability in these breezes is always a key issue, isn't it?
Oh, of course.
Your boat has to be 100% all the way through.
Of course. I think both teams, Platoon and all the others, you know, Platoon, Quantum, and all the others, they have quite reliable maneuvering.
But in saying that, we've seen a bowsprit damage, we've seen a kite blown, and in Palma on the last day, or what proved to be the last day, we had Phoenix coming downwind with the chances of winning the world title and potentially the circuit, and their kite blew. These things happen.
They happen, and but
you can't mitigate against them, really, can you?
Well, I suppose these guys are double checking, triple checking their gear before they like today, and sure, nobody wants that to happen today.
That is Terry Hutchison's watchword in the leading the Quantum team. Double check, the triple check, and I'm quite sure the Quantum team will have done that, and the platoon will have done that as well. But to say reliability could prove critical today in these big breezes. But we spoke with a couple of the navigators before they went in the water. In fact, we spoke with Maria, our principal race officer, who said she's looking forward to a day, everything running on time for once, and also Rod Davis, the coach of the sled team, and this is them.
Yes, finally we have Cascais conditions. The wind will come from northwest. We are expecting up to 22 knots. That's going to be a very fast and good race.
What's the challenges for you on the water then in 22 knots the breeze?
None, because those boats are so good in such a breeze, then we will have a lot of fun, all of us.
So, Rod, it looks fairly typical Cascais conditions. Is that the case?
Finally. We've had a whole week of light air, and so now we're going to get proper breeze.
So what's the strategy then? It's always said to be a right-handed course in this breeze?
Yeah, normally Maria does a pretty good job of setting the pin end biased, so that negates the right hand, at least for the first beat. Well, if you get good starts, it's all going to be about starting.
How are we feeling on the sled then? You had a good day yesterday.
Yeah, we finally got a little bit of our act together after struggling through this first half of the regatta. But all bets are off now. Today is a new day and it's new breeze, so you kind of forget the past lessons and try to address the what we anticipate for today.
Fun day in prospect.
Yeah, no, it'll be a great day out sailing the boats. It'll be a little bit of a tough day on the chase boats because we'll be underwater most of the time, but that's life.
That is indeed life in the coach boat. You have a little bit of sympathy for the teams in the coach boats and the support ribs today, but they've had it easy all week. They had it easy in Bayona. Time to suffer a little bit, chaps. Now, listen, one of the things that we have new on the circuit this season is we're working with smart marks. Now, these are marks which are controlled from an iPad or from a tablet, controlled from the committee boat. It means that we don't have any anchors on the seabed. It means that the race officer can set the marks much more easily, much more accurate course, and we also cut down the number of ribs we use on the water, and of course that's good for our sustainability policy. And this is a little bit of an insight into the smart marks.
So the smart mark is a self-positioning race mark, so we are able to set the race course by the use of a tablet and actually by the touch of a button. We got drone technology inside this mark, so it's GPS based and sensor technology. So it's actually, we got gyroscopes, compasses inside to measure the movement of the marks and be able to realize whether it's a deviation in the GPS or it's a real movement of the mark. So this is what smart marks make super precise. So we have like movements of about 30 centimeters. And they work up to 35 knots of wind. We are able to set the entire race course geometry on the tablet, and we can control the entire course from the race committee boat. So it's like super easy to make race course changes. We just type in the new course direction or the lengths or the angles, and at the touch of a button, whether all marks are moving or just a single one.
I am very happy with the marks because the quality of the racing has improved a lot. I'm setting the course much quicker. You know, I can move the pin so easily, like in 1 minute I have a new starting line, then I try to have always the first line very easily. And it's the same with the course. We are moving the marks easily with a change of course, and I'm very, very happy.
What happens is...
So interesting to see these smart marks, something you would like to use in your race management here?
Come on, makes things very simple, and especially when you are dealing with deep waters. And that's not the case in Cascais, but the further away you go, of course, it's deeper. But it makes life much easier for the race committee. Any adjustment to the course, any wind shift, everything is so much easier and so much faster. Of course, it's a big progression to the sport, and it's going to make really race management and much easier. And of course, the impact is that the races is going to be much easier.
You could set the course here.
Yeah, eventually with a joystick.
But listen, I mean, loads of activity here in the club in Cascais. You say you're the CEO of Sail Cascais. What is that, and what's going on here?
So basically, we created an organization that complements the activity of the club by providing a fleet of boats that allows people to increases the offering of the club in terms of adult sailing sessions, corporate events, our own events that we can direction, for example, for things like women's sailing, the sailing league championships, there, and some niche markets that can be targeted. And we democratize the access to sailing to people that don't own boats. So that's.
So you're building the base of the pyramid.
Yes, I think I have many ideas, but I think our sport really needs a bigger base, and we have our idiosyncrasies. Most of them sometimes are not very popular or easy to sell to the mass market. But definitely by increasing the base, that really helps. It's a very enjoyable sport at outdoors. It's just amazing. You're playing the elements, and that's something that people is looking more and more and more.
And what other major events do you have on this season? This is the pinnacle event, obviously the Rolex TP52 World Championship, but you've got other major events over the season?
Cascais is loaded with it. This year is going to be, we had the RCs 44s, we have the TP52 World Champion, I think is the pinnacle of it. We're going to have the M32s here. We're going to have the 6-meter European Championship. We're going to have the Snipe Worlds. So this is in a frame, in a window of 3 months. So it's going to be quite busy this season in Cascais. And if you add places like Vilamora, for example, in the south, where they have the Ilka Worlds, and in Lagos, where they're having the GC32s. So Portugal right now, being in the west coast of Europe, and with these nice breeze and nice condition, is very, very, very in demand for all these type of championships.
That'll be Lagos in Portugal, not Lagos in Nigeria, as was reported somewhere in some Kiwi media this week. But great to see Portugal really on the up. There's so much sailing activity. I mean, naturally, with such great conditions on offer.
It's impossible. I always say, when I created my company, I think if you look at what Hawaii is for surfing, I think Portugal is the same for sailing. And Cascais is in this privileged position. We are running a statistics the other day. The peak of the season is in the winter, for example, for the dinghy boats and that stuff. And we have a regatta completion of 82% or something like that. So it's pretty good for a winter season. So across all year, in the summer, we have these nice breeze here. So it's an amazing place to come and sail.
Indeed it is. We love coming here. We quite like a Passo Donata as well.
I think that's an attractive, the cherry on top of the cake.
Exactly. Now let's look back at the scoreboard. One of the key things we're noticing just now, obviously we've done 8 out of 8 races. The last time we managed to do that at a World Championship was in 2016 in Mahon. Great conditions there, and to say we've done 8 out of 10 races. We should get 10 away. Just recapping then, 3 points between Quantum Racing and Platoon. Phoenix just that 5 points behind. And I mean, Phoenix could well go out and win both races. It's all about creating a momentum today. Allegra, you have seen them have 3 wins over the course of the regatta, but that 8 and the 9 is what's costing them. But of course, all the time we're also looking at the circuit. The circuit is 5 regattas long. Every single race counts, and this is going to be an important regatta in terms of the overall. We're seeing the 1 or 2 of these bigger scores, and a special word I think for the Thailand team, for Vayu. They started so well. They were up there in second in the early part of the week, and then yesterday they ended up with a 9th and a 7th, so getting a little bit of a taste of things at the back of the fleet. But they're really having a great time. They're learning so much, obviously working with the Quantum program. There's 3 boats sailing in Quantum Sails, and they have support from the Quantum Racing coaching and data analysis, and that really is making a big difference for Vayu and also for Gladiator. Gladiator have joined the Quantum program again this year, and a little bit of a tough time at times here, but they won a race in Bayona. And so the other one who had a strong day yesterday was Sled, 1 and a 3. Again, you could possibly see them going out and doing 2 1s today. It's going to be fascinating. So tell us what else is happening in Cascais then in terms of big regattas.
Well, we also have the Mirpuri offshore regatta.
Yeah.
Last year was a European regatta. I think this year is not a European regatta, but that's going to happen in 2 weeks. So that adds to the already a packed calendar. And on top of that, beyond regattas, we have all these Olympic teams training here. We have the sailing school is pumping every day.
You've had an Amoco down here, you had Pip here.
Yes, we had Pipa here. A lot of the Volvo Ocean Race teams in the previous edition were having the boats in their hub here. So there is a lot of demand for these conditions, and what we are able to offer is just.
And do you get a lot of support from the city and from the town?
Yes, I think the club has a lot of support from the municipality. The municipality understands that this is an amazing value for the community. It brings people, put Cascais in the map. I tell you one thing, what happened in Portugal over the last 10 years and in Cascais, in terms of demographics, in terms of growth, it's just amazing.
It is indeed. Who do you think is going to win today?
Well, if I have to put my money, probably I'll go for...
5 Passo Donatas.
Well, I'll probably go for Quantum, but, these guys didn't win a race. They are very, 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 very consistent. They wait for their moment and let things happen. But Platoon is strong, and I think these are the two teams that have the strongest chance. All the others are back. Then they have the fight for the third place. You have like 4 boats or 3 boats fighting for third place. So it's going to be an interesting day because everybody has their own agenda on the water.
Interestingly enough, I think the team who last won a World Championship without winning a race was Platoon in 2017. Quantum, I think, still have the upper hand in terms of the number of World Championships. They've won 3 in the recent years, and 2 with Platoon, and the defending champions are Sled, who really do have a mountain to climb to try and win here. But let's see who the smart money was. We went round the dock and asked a few of the pro sailors who their money was on. Obviously, they're rooting for themselves, but let's see. If it's not Gladiator, who's going to win today?
Quantum.
Other than Value, who's your money on to win today?
Yeah, hopefully us, but if not, then Quantum.
Who's going to win today other than Allegra?
Platoon.
Other than Sled, who's going to win overall?
Oh, I think Quantum's put a pretty good regatta together, but Platoon did a good job yesterday. So those two guys, hedging to Quantum probably.
So the smart money does appear to be edging for Quantum. But listen, how hard is it to come away from having had a not so good result, like Quantum yesterday had an error at the top mark. They had to drop back, they had to fight back, and so they're coming on the water with a 6th. Platoon come on the water with a 1st.
It looks like they do it on purpose to keep things hot. I don't know. Because actually going into the race...
I can tell you Terry's demeanour when he came off the water yesterday. There was no way he did it on purpose.
Of course, he must be like terrible. Going into the last race, he had it. And then all of a sudden, they are like 8 in the race. But they still managed to get...
Yeah. I mean, that's the key thing is, in fact, with both of them, both saying that, the good results are what motivates them, but being able to come back from, in their case, they went round that top mark in 8th and they got up to 6th. It's all about chipping away, taking the two boats. The same thing was true for Platoon. Platoon were over the start line in that first race and they got back to 5th. So it's not just about winning races to win World Championships. Let's have a look at how the conditions are shaping up on the water. Hopefully we're joining Tor Tomlinson. It does look quite decent then. Boats still with just making their final jib selections. Tor, are you hearing us?
Yes, I am. It's lovely and windy out here today. Looking forward to seeing all these 52s out in perfect conditions. They've been going upwind and sending it downwind for a little bit of practice this morning, and they're all just shaping up, choosing their sails and getting ready for the first start, which we should have a warning signal in the next 5 minutes.
So what kind of wind strength have you got, Tor?
We're seeing like solid 20 knots from about 335, so solid northeasterly coming in here, but the gusts are a little bit bigger, so yeah, perfect conditions.
And the swell building up.
Yeah, I'd say we've got about 1.5 to 2 meters swell, so it's just starting to get a bit bumpy. So yeah, it's going to be all on.
So a few words about the conditions. How do you see it looking as somebody who sailed these waters for 40 years?
Yes. This is our playground. This is where we play mostly every day. And I tell you, depending on the boat you sail, sometimes you enjoy it more than others. I used to sail the laser. We called these the pain lane because every time you had to go upwind, my God, those legs were screaming. But on these boats and most of the other boats, this is just pure fun. So I will go, my guess is upwind, right-hand side, get the flat water, get the less tide, and downwind.
So what will the tide be doing just now, and where's the
tide runs with the wind now, and probably stronger because there's a cape there, Cape Razo. I don't know how you call it, flat cape. I don't know. And probably the water flows a little bit more with the wind on the outer waters. While if you go to the shore, you get a nice shift, probably 10-degree shift, flat water that benefits the boats. They can run faster without bumping. And also a little bit less tide. So that right-hand corner is pretty favored. On the downwind leg, probably if you keep on starboard for longer, you are able to surf the waves and get the stronger breeze that you get outside and go with tide a little bit too.
So we're on board with Platoon, 2 times world champions. Just looking at John Cascais at the front there with his hands behind his back, just discussing how the breeze is looking. With Dirk de Ridder, the main sheet trimmer. Jordi Calafat there at the back of the boat. It was his birthday yesterday. I wonder whether he'll get a late present today. But America's Cup winner and 470 1992 Olympic gold medalist and a legend in Spanish sailing. Great combination he has, working relationship with John Cascais, 2 entirely different characters. And really, they've had a very fruitful relationship, and they sail on other big boats together as well. But the Quantum team, laden with America's Cup winners and successful sailors from every different sport. We've got new strategist from last year, Argentinian Olympic 470 bronze medalist, who joined the team and really is working well with Terry Hutchison. Great ability to see the breeze on the water, and also give Terry the strategic input. This is Lucas Calabrese, and I think he's joined the American Magic America's Cup program as well. So they've got a great, strong combination at the back of the boat in terms of spotting the breeze and making the strategy and tactical analysis. And Michele Avaldi, the Italian navigator, a very strong tactician in his own right. I think when we had Ed Reynolds in the hot seat the other day, the president of Quantum and the long-time project manager, the point he was making was that if Michele wasn't the navigator, he'd be on the boat as a tactician. So focusing just now on the Platoon. Platoon's navigator is Jules Salter, a past winner of the Volvo Ocean Race as navigator, a great offshore and ocean navigator, but loves the cut and thrust of the inshore Grand Prix circuits. So we've got just under 2 minutes to go. Tor, how's it shaping up now? We're seeing a lot of the boats, as you would imagine, starting or shaping up to start towards the committee boat end of the line.
Yes, they're all vying up for the right-hand end of the line there. Quantum have been keeping a close eye on Platoon, but have just let them come down to the left a little bit. So there is a little bit of port bias on this line, so I think that's what Platoon will be looking for. And Quantum have just got Allegra between them and Platoon at the minute, so not too far away. I think Quantum are looking in a nice position here, a little bit bow forward, and they'll be looking to, not go too far to the left, but get out to the right early. We've got Vayu and Sled up on the far right of the line, looking to win the boat by the looks of it, and Phoenix coming in just below them. So it's Quantum and Phoenix that are looking strong for me in this start.
The Quantum are just keeping the boats above them, just shepherding them up as high as possible to give themselves a little bit of a runway, aren't they?
Well, the idea is to push as much as windward as possible to the top of your windward boats and create some gap.
That's right. We can just see Quantum doing that.
So you can go for a run. But I think that the only guy that can really run here probably is going to be Platoon, and because they're going to take the pin. And let's see how much the others can do.
So we're just seeing Platoon at this left end of the line towards the pin end. They've got loads of runway, no boats above them. Quantum nicely positioned coming through, coming bow forward. Up at the top end of the line, I think we're seeing Vayu. But Platoon, this is all about time and distance, hitting the start line on the gun. And Harmuller Spear pulls the bow down. This is all about speed build, and they've got that line bias. The left-hand end of the line is what they've measured, and we're watching Gerb Harmuller there in the trimmer grinding on the last few centimetres off the jib on Platoon. The Platoon have made a great start, really, going forward. Quantum just a little bit buried there. We can see the green camber stripes through the gap between them and between Platoon and Allegri. So pretty decent start then for the Platoon. Loads of runway, able to build speed. Quantum a little bit back, certainly Platoon for me just now ahead of Quantum. Allegri going quite well as well, Tor.
Yeah, really nice here on the left for Platoon. They've just managed to get a little bit of speed on that the other boats haven't managed to do with lots of boats around them. But yeah, really lovely for Platoon. It was Interlodge that just kind of ruined Quantum's day a little bit there with the start. They just stuck their nose in just below them on the line and managed to get the hook. So the Quantum are having to sail a high mode just above Interlodge to keep the lane there, but not wanting to get too close to Phoenix.
So Vasco, yeah, Quantum just a little bit of trouble there, just getting some dirty air from the boat above them now, which was Phoenix, and also being hurt by Interlodge below them. I mean, it's there's no love lost at the moment on the water between Ed Baird, who used to be Quantum's tactician and skipper, now tactician on board the Interlodge, and of course America's Cup winning helmsman. But really he's given Quantum food for thought just now. They really have to try and get out of that situation they're in just now and get out to the right.
Well, they just have to wait for those boats on windward to, I think it's Phoenix that is on their windward side, correct?
Yeah.
That to tack and get as clean air as possible. They are not in a very comfortable position right now because they have to hang to that position, and they're just behind.
So there they go. Phoenix
there they go. They're free. Of course, they're going to go for the tack. And I suppose the other two are going to go. Probably Platoon already built a nice lead, and now it's about how fast you run to the right. And the right tack is not the most difficult one because of the way that
you're going into the waves, aren't you?
Exactly.
More directly.
On starboard, you're
across the waves.
So it's a much more difficult tack. So on port, you just run with the wave sideways, so it's a much easier tack to go in Cascais.
So Quantum we're seeing in 7th or 8th just now off the start line, but obviously we've just started. There's not much in it. On board with Phoenix. Phoenix there, Tony Norris steering. Tom Slingsby calling tactics with Cameron Dunn as strategist. Great images on board, maximum concentration. It's all about getting the boat across these waves without losing any power. As Vasco was just saying, this is a difficult tack to sail on, going across the building seas. Gladiator there, just a couple of boat lengths back. And then the other boat we were just seeing was, in fact, the Vayu with the older Quantum main. Then in our foreground now, we're seeing Interlodge coming out and really trying to keep a nice, clean, open lane. Austin Fragaman, the owner-driver on the helm, hasn't sailed in Cascais before, and this is the most breeze he's sailed in this year, I think. Just see him there working with Rod Dawson, the main sheet trimmer, and I can see Ed Baird there hanging out, looking upwind at the breeze. Tactician. So how's it looking on this left side, Tor?
I'm liking the position of Platoon here. They really extended out off of that good start out of the pin and are in quite a strong position. Into Lodge, not doing just as well. I think they took a little bit of a bad shift before they attacked. But yeah, looking strong on the early left, but it's all going to be about getting to this lay line.
It's about getting to the lay line and finding a slot, and Platoon going well just now. Vayu leaders by virtue of being furthest to the right. Nick Rogers, the tactician on the Vayu, had a tough day yesterday down in the cheap seats, as it were, but today punching out to the right, coming off the committee boat end of the line. Sled are there too in second, or second on that right side group. But Vasco, we're liking the look of Platoon just now, aren't they?
Yeah, they look great. They have the pressure. They have the gap. They build the gap on the pin. So now it's about time to put all the fire on all the wood on the fire and run as fast as you can to that right hand side. And if they manage to hold that position despite the shift that is going to happen at the end, they're doing good. They're looking very good right now.
And they obviously have the balance. It's not necessarily about winning this race. It's about putting a couple of boats between them and Quantum, ideally. So that is the balance for them going up this beat and through the rest of the race. It's about keeping Quantum behind them as much as it is going forward and trying to win. But they're seeing Gladiator attacking. So what's the balance here about going out to the ley line if you need to, or tacking under it? We always, in this kind of breeze, we quite often see one boat tacking the ley line and everybody ends up overstanding.
Yeah, so I think it depends on the position you are. If you're a bit on the back, you definitely don't want to hit that ley line because you want to cross a bit above the under the ley line. So you don't have to try to avoid as much as possible as these guys tack on you. But if you are the first, you just like Platoon right now, maybe you can just cross everybody and tack in front of everybody. So it depends really on where you are.
It's fascinating because really that's an almost identical strategic start to what Platoon did yesterday. They used the line bias. They really focused on time and distance and being at maximum speed off the start line, and the advantage there that they got was they could use the bias and get a slingshot up the course, and they're in a nice position. Key thing for them is they have Quantum in their pocket for the moment.
Well, Platoon is doing what they have to do. He's trying to win the race.
That's right.
And hope that Quantum lags as much as possible. But they are doing their job right now perfectly.
So on board with Phoenix. Phoenix kind of mid-fleet just now. Just not getting the starts that we've seen from them, nor the first beat strategies that we have seen the likes of Bayonne. I remember they came out and had 2 wins on the opening day. So Vayu fighting back. They were, to a certain extent, written off by a lot of pundits because it's an older boat, which is reputedly not so good in this stronger breeze. But tactically, they're sailing a great race. They started off the pin end of the line and going to the early right with that Quantum branded mainsail.
Anyway, they are pretty close. You see, Vayu is 4 meters behind according to the system, 25, 33. So they're still pretty close, and that will make probably some things to happen on the upwind mark when they start attacking close to each other.
We're just thinking about Victor Marinho then, our runner trimmer there, just securing off the runner, putting his weight on the rail and coming in there thinking about when they're going to attack. Just waiting to see who goes first and whether they cross them or go inside.
So Vayu seems now is leading. He's the most right-hand side of the boat.
Kravetsa over there as well, I think. Kravetsa just there in the middle of the shot. They're presently 5th, but it's all about how far you go. The right-hander increases as you get towards the land.
Yes.
But then there's a cliff that you fall off because the breeze gets lighter.
slightly lighter, but the shift is considerable.
Oh, of course. I say you get more shift, you get more right-hander the further you go. It's the classical Cascais.
Another thing we love in the smaller boats is the fact that the water is flatter near the shore, so that allows the boat not to hit the waves and doesn't break the boat so much. So that's also a thing to consider when you hit that right-hand side.
So in fact, there's only 30-odd meters between Platoon and Quantum in terms of distance to the windward mark, but the key thing is they have a couple of boats between them. And this is all about anticipating who's tacking first and trying to keep these boats between yourself and your rival, in this case Platoon and Quantum.
Other thing to take in consideration when you get to that first upwind mark is that sometimes the wind shifts even more to the right, close to the upwind mark. So to get that ley line, to nail that ley line from far is a bit tricky sometimes.
And you can't afford to be underlaying in this fleet and trying to get up on port tack, hitching into a lineup like we have just now is very difficult, as we saw with Quantum in that second race yesterday. So Tor, how's it looking now? Your breeze seems to be pretty steady, a little bit lighter towards the shore, but flatter water.
Yeah, really nice strong breeze. It's actually just gone right about 5-10 degrees. The top marks are quite close into the shore there, so there's definitely going to be some interesting tactics on the second half of this beat. It's going to be whoever plays up the shore right, picking the right shifts. My money's on Platoon at the minute, but Quantum are still looking strong with, I think, it's Allegra just between them.
Indeed, Quantum up in third place. So much experience off these racing waters, and obviously, as we said, this is typical racetrack for Cascais. And Quantum have won here 3 times before out of the 5 times we've been here. Or the 5th time, this is the 5th time we've been here. A great rivalry between John Kostecki and Terry Hutchison. And of course, Jordi Calafat, the strategist on the Platoon, used to sail with Quantum as strategist, won the circuit title with Quantum before. But there you see it, there they starting to see the big header with Allegra and Platoon coming down. Quantum have tacked onto starboard, or taking the advantage now. There you see Platoon tacking inside them, so not able to cross Quantum. So Terry Hutchison and Michele Avaldi managing to nail that one, just getting the ley line just exactly right. Quantum appear to have the lead for the moment. Remember, there's only 3 points between them. And Platoon inside.
It's an amazing recovery from Quantum, huh?
Just about tacking in the right place and having getting a little lane, getting clear of sled. But Quantum overturning the odds on that upwind and the advantage with them. I mean, a minute ago we were saying there was only 15 meters between them. Now it's something closer to 30, and Platoon slowed a little bit. Look at sled coming through, max power.
We'll see that also in the previous table, that the Platoon Quantum was systematically a bit faster, at least on this period.
They're certainly powered up, weren't they? Yeah.
Half a knot faster than Platoon, so it means that the guys are sailing great.
Just on board just now with Allegra, Edo Stead, their tactician. Allegra in the mix as well. That's sled inshore. I think sled probably furthest inshore. But these guys know these waters so well. It's precision tactics. sled furthest inshore in the middle of our picture.
I think it's Allegra. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're right. It is Allegra sled going right to left of the overhead there in fifth. So Allegra winners of 3 races so far. Bang on the ley line. Francesco Mangelli is the navigator. Platoon ending up under ley line. And Quantum very much in control, Tor.
So let's see if as Quantum goes a little bit under the ley line, let's see if the wind really shifts more to the right for them to be able to do that first upwind. Otherwise, there's a layer of complexity because they still have to tack twice with Allegra on their stern.
And Allegra going quite quick, aren't they?
Yes, they are going fast.
Just lifting slightly in the breeze. You get that increased lift the closer you get to the land. So Tor, we're seeing Platoon in third now after that sequence. Platoon unable to cross Quantum, tacking inside and now in third.
Yeah, it was really, really close in that top right corner there with Platoon, Quantum and Allegra. Allegra just had to duck behind Quantum after they tacked, and Platoon opted to tack in just below them. And now it looks like Quantum have just got a click or two more speed on everyone else. Platoon just eking away the meters behind them, and they've just tacked, taking a hitch out onto the ley line. So it's all going to be whether Quantum are on the ley line here and whether they have to go back out. Platoon could come back in the on starboard tack and shut them out at the top mark, but it looks to me like Quantum are going to have to put a little tack in there too.
Indeed, they're tacking now and going up to close with Allegra. That'll be interesting to see whether Allegra looked like they might have been able to cross. Anyway, Quantum are going to have to tack inside, indeed double tacking, and tack on the bow of Allegra, which is what they're hoping is the Allegra will now hurt the Platoon, and Quantum consolidating their position, leading, and they have keeping Allegra between them and Platoon, the main rivals for the world title. We're just at the safety mark, this mark which protect the port ley line now. So Tor, take us round this mark.
Well, Quantum are coming in first in here, so they've done very well on that last ley line. What a first beat for our first race of the final day today. Quantum and Platoon right there at the top with Allegra in between them. And actually Vayu coming in fourth just behind Platoon after starting on the boat end of the line. So yeah, 2 totally different starts, and Platoon and Vayu not far from each other. So we've just got Quantum coming around the top mark now and onto the spreader leg. Allegra not far behind them, and Platoon in there chasing. So downwind, it looks like they're probably going to be starting off going down the right-hand side of the course, make the most out of these waves and get these boats planing.
So Platoon round in third, then Vayu in fourth. Solid first upwind for them. Fifth round is sled, I think. Sixth looks like Interlodge. So good upwind all in all, really, for Interlodge, considering they started and sailed their own race out on the left side early on. Vayu then coming around the offset mark with their hoist. Sled ending up 7th at that top mark, Prevesa 8th, and Phoenix ending up 9th round the top mark. So Phoenix really struggling a little bit, Tor.
Yeah, they just got caught in with a little pack, Preveza, Sled, Gladiator, and then coming into the top mark now, and all 4 boats are hoisting together and are in a really tight little pack there. So it looks like Phoenix have come out okay there, so they might be up to 7th now on the water, if not on the tracker. But yeah, not a great beat for them, and certainly will mix up the tables if they're down the back of the pack. Quantum pulling out a nice lead here with Allegra and Platoon pretty close behind them. Nice to see Vayu up here. They didn't think they'd do so well in the breeze. I wonder if they can hold on to it.
Indeed, but I mean the big advantage in these conditions is getting round the offset, getting your kite up, allows you to accelerate away from your rivals behind them. We're seeing that with Quantum, Vasco.
Well, yes, it was quite impressive performance by Quantum on the upwind leg. Now it's about having the right call for the ley line and getting into the muchest pressure as you can, but not overpassing the ley line. So, but I think Quantum did a great job. Platoon, they must be like, what the hell happened here?
Just that one thing, the Quantum just got out above them into the right-hander first, made that work for them, and suddenly they were over the top of Platoon and fighting back, jibing early to match. Quantum tried to get down inside them, sail a little bit deeper. Meantime, Allegra, Andy Soriano's team electing to stay out to the right, stay with the pressure, and you're still going kind of across the waves, aren't you? It's on the other jibe that you're better. Surfing conditions, it's much better. You're sailing with the waves. So there we go. Allegra now 140 metres behind Quantum, and you don't want to be the prophet of doom for the other teams, but Quantum in these conditions with a 140 metre lead, should be able to magnify that a few times over. However, out with Allegra then. Allegra jibing now, stayed out to the right looking downwind. See if there's any gain for them, but for Platoon it's a little bit of damage limitation. They need to try and get through Allegra.
I think that early jibe was also a bit more to condition the options of Allegra rather than...
Yeah.
Because then by jibing early, they had to send, Allegra had to be more to the right-hand corner. So they're pulling that card. Let's see what happens. Beautiful conditions out here. They're surfing with waves on their back.
Is there any gain to be made down that left side? We've seen that before working.
Yeah, sometimes there depends if there's a gust coming from the shore, but I'll call that normally to happen more at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it can happen. You have to keep an eye on that left-hand side on the run, but the safest side is always the right because the pressure is more stable, and you have those surfing conditions that are just beautiful and give you the extra knots that when you go down the waves.
Interestingly, historically, Allegra have been one of the quickest boats here downwind. That was kind of the last time we were here, but they had a different mode. We were able to sail deeper and faster. So they'll certainly be a match for Platoon in these conditions downwind. Frolic boats kind of in their weaker spot. And this is very much a sweet spot for the likes of Allegra and Quantum, the Bottine designs. So you've just joined us. We're on the first run of the penultimate race of the Rolex TP52 World Championships. We've got Quantum Racing, 2 times winners here, winners of the World Championship here in 2018. In control of the race. They have now, this is a projected points table, where positions to stay the same through the finish line of this race. Quantum would be 4 points up, and Allegra moving up to 3rd by virtue of their 2nd place on the water just now. So we're only on the first run, but things changing all the time.
Well, this downwind is very important because as the right-hand side is more favored than everybody who has to round the mark at the same spot, probably the race is going to be pretty much over at the start of the 2nd upwind, because the guy who leads it's probably going to go further away.
That's right. He's got the choice of the preferred mark or the less preferred mark at the lure gate. And owning the right-hand side up this second bait is key. And that advantage should initially fall to Quantum. Then it's between Platoon and Allegra. Platoon team working really hard there. Gerhard Habermuller, their powerhouse grinder.
This tack, you were mentioning that Allegra is able to sail a bit down than the rest of the fleet. That's amazing, because this is the tack where they can really use the waves to go a little bit down. And if they manage to do it, to nail it good, that can be an extra. They can recover an extra meters.
So just watching Quantum jibing leading into the towards the lure gate.
Probably Platoon is going to follow them. I see some action in the boat. Yes. Look, Allegra closing a little bit.
So that offshore right option downwind has possibly made some gains. We're just certainly seeing Allegra able to sail a little bit deeper, faster than Quantum. The Quantum going very nicely across our screen, sailing a hotter angle.
Platoon and Allegra, they're close. Maybe Allegra has a bit of the upper hand.
So much of this is about picking the gusts and riding the gusts for as long as possible. But Quantum spearing downwind there. Great images from our drone. There you see Allegra going across their wake and jibing on the face of Platoon. Now Platoon...
Let's see if they don't get pat now.
Platoon electing to go try and get down inside them. Now that's not a good jibe from the Allegra team. Kite was still flapping for a minute. That means less power.
Well, the fight there is for the inner boat of the mark. So let's see if Platoon manages to sneak in. But as far as there
you go.
They're pretty close out back there.
This is the new slogan for the Quantum: numbers never lie. They have this huge database of performance numbers built up over the years. And that is working for the Vayu team in particular. Obviously it works for Quantum. They have this database of performance numbers which we make available to the teams that join the Quantum program. But certainly Allegra have had a good run, other than that jibe there, which cost them a boat length and a half, something like that. Let Platoon get up to them. Platoon all the time trying to get down inside them to get the inside boat at the leeward turn, which would give them the right to get some space to turn inside. But meantime, Quantum...
Right hand side mark.
Quantum taking the right hand side mark, Tor.
Well, that puts them in a controlling position as they gain some windward, and they can tack and pull the other boats farther down to...
Once again, Maria's done a good job putting some bias on the gate, this left-hand mark looking upwind. Gives the option, the preferred option, to come offshore. And as Vasco just saying, but it's getting really busy at this lure gate. We're just seeing a good run from Phoenix coming into the right-hand mark, taking I think 3 boats down that run. On this left-hand mark looking upwind, we see Interlodge going a long route round. Prevets on the right-hand mark, and bow number 4 there, Gladiator, coming into shot. Vayu having not such a good run.
They start strong, but
they just haven't been sailing in these conditions, I think, in the boat, and dropping down to a 9th, Gladiator, and 8th. Gladiator not really having a good mark rounding. Credit to the Interlodge team there. Austin Fragaman on the helm with Rod Dawson. got the boat going quite nicely in 6th place, showing some pretty decent crew work coming downwind. So no change at the top between Quantum, Allegra and Platoon.
Quantum is a perfect controlling position, either to Platoon or either to Allegra. So it's wood on the fire and put that steam pumping.
It's not sustainable wood, I have to tell you. Biomass or solar power. But yeah, great conditions, great images coming from the water here in the Rolex TP52 World Championship, the final day, big showdown really between Quantum and Platoon. That's the points as they stand just now on the water, with Quantum Racing leading, Allegra 2nd and Platoon 3rd. That's their projected points tally. Quantum winning by 5 points after 9 races, supposing this positions finish as is. Allegra getting themselves up to 3rd on the podium. So battle between Platoon and between Phoenix and Allegra for the podium. And at the moment it's Phoenix who have work to do. They've got themselves up to 4th though, Vasco.
Yeah,
remember they were 9th at the top mark. If they could keep that up, same games down the next run, then they'd be golden. But fantastic racing then. We're seeing Gladiator tacking into the lee bow of Preveza. Preveza bounced off, couldn't live there. You see the waves starting to build up.
Behind those 3 top boats, there was a pack. Of course, if you're smart and a bit also lucky, you were able to make those gains. And I think Phoenix really took advantage of that ground marking position, and I managed to climb up several points, several places. So it's quite good.
Indeed, it is good. Tor, how's it looking? It's looking quite bouncy out on the water now. We see the waves building up and the breeze building up. We're looking at a great final race at the moment, though Quantum in control.
Yeah, the breeze is building. It's a race over to the right at the minute. Big waves, there's flat water over there, and a nice little lift in the righty, up on the right hand side of the course. So they're all heading over there. Most of the fleet on port tack, trying to get those little gains. I'm impressed with Phoenix's comeback down that run and at the bottom there, and as you were just saying, yeah, really nice, clean, tidy drop, and that's just the teamwork that got them those places in there.
Indeed, Quantum in control. Allegra pretty much have control of Platoon. Platoon really not too many options for just now, Vasco.
No, and I think even Allegra has to keep an eye on Phoenix and Platoon, because Phoenix is on that is on that right-hand side corner, and eventually the gains will come at the very end of that port tack. So now they have an extra layer of problems to take care of. So
which is kind of a repeat of what happened with Platoon and Quantum, wasn't it? Quantum were first to the corner between the battle between them and Platoon, and just as soon as they tacked, they were into the lift and were able to just make that boat length and a half gain that gave them the overall lead.
Exactly. It was Allegra and Quantum at the very end of the first upwind port tack that they came near the shore, and they made most of the gains. It seemed that Platoon was a clear leader, and all of a sudden it's not. So that the same thing can happen now with Phoenix getting a little bit catching up with the second and third positions. Let's see what happens. It's all about the end of this port tack, about the close to the leyline.
So not too much between Allegra and Platoon, only 5 or 6 meters in terms of distance to the upwind mark. There was the interlodge there with the black hull in 9th.
I think Phoenix already tacked, also downstairs.
Yeah, we're just seeing them coming across the picture there.
Let's see what happens. Platoon is going to start covering.
And
yeah, they tack and they
Phoenix tack back and just break cover.
They even go further to the right. $40 meters is probably what, 2 boat lengths, 2-3 boat lengths is not that much for these boats,
especially downwind.
Yeah, you know, that's where the big.
It's one shift or 15-20 seconds more in a gust. I think the breeze looked fairly solid downwind. It didn't look too gusty, did it, from what we could see?
No, it's pretty stable. Pretty stable, strong, but stable. And the beauty of it probably is going to build up even further along the day. Probably, my call is going to have like close to 25 knots in the second race, but let's see.
Let's just go with that.
I would love to see them.
25 knots, things start breaking.
It's the grand finale.
But there we go, Quantum then tacking inside Allegra. It's pretty close between the two of them. Or sorry, Quantum tacking outside Allegra.
I think Quantum goes for a full control of the operation here.
Exactly. And we can see Phoenix charging into the top group. Great recovery from them, considering they were 9th round the top mark. They really had a good run. Let's see whether they can make the same kind of impression down this second run. We're on the second beat, going upwind, penultimate race of the Rolex TP52 World Championship. A little bit of a split in the middle of the fleet now between 4th and 5th, between Phoenix and Sled. Great racing conditions. Still close. We can just see Quantum and Allegra there.
I think Vayu is making a little comeback there from 9 to 7 and looking good on the right-hand side too.
If you can get to the right, you get your own and get your own lane, then there's the gains that are there to be made relative to the boats that end up staying up out offshore. Andy Soriano then max concentration on the Allegra. As I say, I'm sure that Cascais has been good for Allegra in the past, and challenging Phoenix for the podium. Nothing in it in terms of points just now.
Beautiful bluebird sky in Cascais with a nice breeze. Perfect swell.
Always like that here, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
You were saying, Vasco, they were just looking at Vayu there, the grey trail on the inshore line, should be able to get across Interlodge.
Let's see if Interlodge is going to put the stuff to the fun, or...
Anyway, the other good news is that we're bang up to time, considering that the previous 4 days we've had delays. Tony Norris on the helm there of the Phoenix. I feel like Phoenix are just chipping away, getting into the back of this leading trio. So they are just...
Let's see where the ley line is. I suppose they're already all in the ley line. Oh no, but Quantum at least, and Allegra and Platoon, sorry. Depending where they are in the ley line, Platoon might have managed to overcome Allegra.
Let's wait and see. So the last time we were here, as I said, yesterday, we had 7 boats racing, and 7th then was Allegra. 2018 was when we had the World Championship.
I think they managed to win a race then.
Yeah, I can remember us racing further down the river, as it were, when it was very, very breezy.
Yep.
And Allegra were really quick.
So
they were 3rd then in 2018, so I'm very sure they'd be happy to repeat that.
Okay, platoon tacked. This platoon. Yes. Everybody's tacking. Quantum not giving any inch to platoon to move, so they tacked with them.
Great move and counter move up this second beat. Quantum just keeping a cover on the boats behind.
It's amazing because in the first upwind you could see Quantum probably faster, and now the boat speed is pretty much similar along them, correct?
They're very, very good at changing gears, I think, is one of the strengths of the Quantum team. Through the lulls and the puffs. Interesting, just looking at their crew positioning relative to Allegra. We'll see that again in a second, but they have more weight towards the back of the boat. That's one of the things that Ed Reynolds was telling us that they've been working on very, very hard. Crew positioning, the weight fore and aft, and in the lighter conditions.
I think platoon is very keen to get that second place and keep things open to the final race.
I think they're just trying to sail a higher mode and get up to Allegra, but at the same time you're dragging into the
Quantum.
The Quantum and getting into the
shade.
The shade and the
dirty air.
Shift. Just remember, 1 point, 1 place could make all the difference for a platoon. We don't know what's going to happen in this second race, but minimising the points differential going into the final race gives platoon a chance.
Okay.
So Allegra go first.
Platoon might be waiting for Quantum to tag, so that will be like, who's going to call it first?
The advantage is always with Quantum in this situation, isn't it?
Yeah. They very solid.
They can afford to wait and just take platoon all the way. Key thing for them is as much as they can, giving as much advantage to Allegra.
Exactly. They want to throw platoon back of Allegra, because that's what.
So yeah, there they are. They've really taken platoon overlay line.
And you see Allegra closing a lot to the leader, and according to the.
But that's the difference, isn't it? In Quantum situation, they could afford for Allegra to win.
And that's in their interest, so they're playing
their main impetus, the main goal just now is being ahead of platoon.
And that will be played beautiful if the numbers are correct. That means that Allegra goes second and gains 90 meters over platoon, so that will be a solid lead.
So smart thinking from the Quantum team. Great images. Tor watching Quantum coming up to the windward mark.
Yeah, I think Quantum took platoon a little bit over the ley line there, so we might see Allegra just sneaking in here below them. Just as I've said that, Allegra have just put a little tack in, so I'm not sure where they'll end up on Platoon, but I think they might be just in front. Phoenix, there's a little gap back to Phoenix and then quite a big split in the fleet below them.
So Quantum Racing leading around the final top mark of the penultimate race. Allegra having to do that little hitch, but still with the controlling position relative to Platoon. And a master class from Terry Hutchison and Lucas Calabrese and the afterguard on the Quantum, just sending Allegra back to shepherd the Platoon, minimising the options for Platoon at the moment.
So this is like the most important story of the championship right now, is whether Platoon is going to overcome Allegra or not and keep their chances open for the last race. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit difficult.
A good recovery from Phoenix, considering they were 9th in the top mark last time. But it may be too little too late for Phoenix. Sled in 5th. So what are Phoenix's options going down this run, Vasco?
The Phoenix options?
Yeah.
Well, probably an early jive if they want to play a little bit of a card.
Yeah, they want to gamble a little bit and try and get back at Allegra. That's their key thing.
They have enough distance back and forth, so they can play it. But that's the call. Or otherwise, if the boats ahead attack a jibe very early, they eventually can extend a little bit to the right-hand side. So it's their call, depending on how much they run on starboard here. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. Let's go. But it's follow the leader just now for the top 3 boats anyway. Platoon surfing fast on the quarter wave of Allegra. Harmler Spear, owner-driver there, hugely experienced winners of Dragon regattas here in the past.
I think Platoon will try to jibe a little bit earlier or at the same time as Allegra and try to sail on top of them, but it's going to be tough.
You'd imagine that in terms of the design advantage, then the advantage is perceived to be with Allegra in these conditions. The Platoon not so powerful downwind and the surfing conditions, so they may not be prepared to take it to Allegra quite as extremely, but they're giving it everything just now. Rolling into the jibe as you suggested. Quantum have gone.
Are they waiting? Here they go.
So, as you say, trying to get down inside Allegra. It's all about wave selection, really, as well, isn't it? If you can pick your wave,
Allegra
keep the kite
full. That's it.
A nice jibe, really, by Platoon.
Platoon, yes, open. We might have got them.
Just didn't get the acceleration. He kind of dropped off the wave at the end of it, but nice wave selection and good jibe, as you might expect from Double America's Cup trimmer on the Platoon.
And here you have Phoenix went for the early jibe than anyone else. But it's a tough call because probably on the left-hand side of the course is a bit less wind, less waves. They have to jibe for sure another 2 times, so another time at least. So I'll not put my money on a big recovery from them right now.
You will?
I will.
That's why you gave up banking, is it?
Well, you have to. It's
more fun, isn't it?
It's much more fun, right? It is a bit similar because it's all about risk management and
Exactly.
taking your bets.
You make less money on this, though.
Yes. No, you only spend money here.
Anyway, look at that then. Allegra then fully arced up, going great guns down the outside. I think certainly quicker than Platoon just now.
They look beautiful.
Fantastic boats in these conditions. I think I always say there's a certain beauty in these conditions that you'll never get with foiling boats. And foiling boats may be going quicker, but there's a certain beauty in pushing water. On board with Allegra then just now. That's Sebastian Ten Hag, the Swedish powerhouse grinder, on the left with the blue shorts, and Jonathan Taylor.
Beautiful image.
Interesting for the sharp-eyed among you. You may notice that both the Rolex boats for this regatta are back with their 3 pedestal winches, which we haven't seen. They fitted them way back in 2019. Gives them some extra power, but more importantly, takes the weight back in the boat. So you'll see that on the Platoon and Provenza. Quantum going very nicely down that left side.
Platoon accelerating now on top of
Great.
It's a question of waves. You get the wave, you speed up. Here we go, Allegra.
You see the difference. I mean, they make a boat length and a wave, or a boat length and a half and a wave.
Totally. And you want to take advantage of the waves. If you're able to sail lower and keep the speed, that's a great advantage in terms of the MG. So if they are able to do that, that's beautiful.
You can just see that Allegra's holding the wave for longer. The Phoenix have gone quite well down that middle left, haven't they?
They have it. They have.
You can start to see the gusts on the water now.
Yes, you can.
Phoenix maybe
made some progress. Let's see.
Oh, Allegra just losing it, just getting a little bit of a broach on. Sorry, Platoon, yeah.
So Phoenix now, let's see. They're making huge progress.
Now that cost Platoon, I don't know whether the rudder lost grip or something, but cost him half a boat length or a boat length against Allegra.
And Phoenix, as they made progress, and they have when they jive, they have the starboard tack, so they have an advantage over Platoon here on the next crossing.
So here we go, we're seeing Platoon, Allegra, and there's Quantum well ahead, out of trouble.
Let's see the progress.
Just coming back on the same line as Phoenix. But let's see whether Phoenix can get down to Allegra. I think they're almost certainly through Platoon.
Yes.
It's all about the wind pressure and the waves just now. They're just on a gust.
This is beautiful for Quantum. It's more than they asked in the in the beginning of the race.
If Phoenix can get through Platoon, they'll go into the final race with, I think, a 5-point lead, and you'd be pretty happy with that in a 9-boat fleet.
You see, this is what we talk when we talk that the race is a blank sheet.
Yeah.
And you just write every mistake you make, and then you compare it to the others, and that's Platoon. They made a small, big mistake right now, and they lost 2 places, potentially.
Anyway, great images of Quantum then. Doug DeVos, owner-driver, has never sailed a full season. in the class, and this year he'll manage to do 4 of the 5 regattas, which gives the team a great level of continuity on the boat. It's been hard for them in previous years with the owner coming in and out depending on business commitments, as Ed Reynolds was telling us. On our first day of live, he was saying that Doug has a lifetime commitment to doing the Chicago Mac race, and we'll be back for that, unfortunately. But looking good for winning this penultimate race. And as Vasco said, their advantage increasing because Phoenix seemed to have managed to get through the platoon. So through the finish line then, Tor, a win for Quantum Racing.
Incredible racing performance by Quantum. So we have Allegra, Phoenix, and Platoon. Amazing recovery by Phoenix from 9th to 3rd.
Yep, that's why they're called Phoenix.
The renaissance of the Phoenix.
Exactly. We've seen it a few times this week. Unfortunately, I'd be wishing they didn't have to do that, but
it would be easier if they started in front.
Yeah. I mean, really, we've only seen them really once imposing themselves this week. But anyway, Quantum Racing winning, Allegra second, Phoenix get up to 3rd, keeping the battle for the podium close, tussling with Allegra for that 3rd place. Platoon get 4th.
This must be really disappointing. They start strong. They were leading,
yeah,
and little by little they were losing ground, and especially at the end of the second upwind and this downwind was very costly for them.
So Sled coming through the world champions at the moment, but the writing really is on the wall now in terms of champions elect. You would imagine will be Quantum just now with a 5-point lead, but a great sprint finish now between Preveza and Interlodge. But Interlodge have the advantage, but great surfing conditions through the line. Austin Fragaman on the helm of the Interlodge, loving every second. Coming through the line now and holding off an Olympic bronze medalist and America's Cup sailor John Cutler on the helm of the Preveza. So that's a key moment, you would say, for Austin Fragaman, one he'll love. Anyway, Gladiator coming through next, and Vayu finishing with a 9th, considering they were 4th, I think, the top mark first time up. A tough lesson for the team from Thailand in these brisker conditions. But really a masterclass from Quantum, Vasco, really.
Yeah, it's again, it's just do your stuff as best as you can and wait for the other people to do their mistakes, and that's exactly what they did. They sailed a very good first upwind leg. They were with the pressure. They crossed to the right when they cooled. They got a nice right-hand shift, flattish water, and they just pulled in the lead. So it was an amazing performance, and from there they didn't do any mistake. They just went into a controlling position, very simple. They kept it simple, and they just build and build and build further.
I think there was the key moment, though, as you said, when they were just getting up to the right-hand side of the course. They were much quicker than Allegra and Platoon at that point. So there we see a 6-point lead going into the final race. Quantum Racing winning that race. Platoon getting 4th, considering they were first at the top mark, or were leading Quantum on that beat until the Quantum get through. Then that 4th is really pretty costly for them. It could lose them the chance of the world title. Anyway, 6 points in it between the first two. Phoenix recovery to 3rd gives them a 1-point lead over Allegra going into the final race, the challenge for the 3rd step on the podium. Allegra in 38, Sled 42, 45 points for Vayu, Preveza 53, Gladiator 65, and just that little 2-point penalty yesterday was for a collision. And Interlodge then in 9th, but a good They've had some consistent results then in the last couple of days with these two sixth places. But let's look at the replay. Let's have a quick recap, a mental recap of the penultimate race. And it was a great start, really, wasn't it, Vasco, from Platoon coming off that pin end of the line with the time and distance perfect. Now, at this point, we really thought the race was going Platoon's way. And then Quantum managed to get a little bit further inshore. Round the top mark, it was Quantum Racing leading with Allegra second. Platoon down in third. And then down through the leeward gate, it was all three top boats went round the left-hand side, looking upwind with some bias on the gate. But Quantum in the controlling position all the way up that beat, leading around the top mark to just enjoy the surf downwind. Great recovery from Phoenix, considering they were ninth at that top mark, getting up and through to take third, getting through Platoon down that run. Great choice from Cameron Dunn. And seeing Quantum going through the finish line for that win sets them up for a nice big lead, 6 points going into the final race of the day. The impetus really is with Quantum, isn't it, Vasco?
I think totally. Of course, mathematically it's still possible, but I think the odds are clearly now with Quantum. For Platoon to win, they have to win and Quantum be last. So I think that's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult, but anyway, stay with us. Join us again in a few minutes once we go out for the final race of the Rolex TP52 World Championships with Quantum in the box seat. Welcome back to Cascais then, the big Saturday showdown for the world title. Quantum Racing just winning a race, and that really has given them a 6-point lead going into the final race of these Rolex TP52 World Championship. Now, of course, Quantum have won 3 times before. This would be their 4th world title in the history of the 52 Super Series, and a real battle as well for 3rd place on the standings between Allegra and Phoenix. A nice recovery from Phoenix in that race. Just a point between them. But one of the key things, one of the main parts of the DNA of the 52 Super Series, and of course the Rolex TP52 World Championship by extension, is our sustainability. We like to leave a positive legacy wherever we go, and the education for the young sailors, and this is a very, very active club with young sailors. And we had a group visiting the boats the other day and going down and doing a beach clean-up. Again, it's about the positive legacy, it's about educating, and it's about positive messages. This is a difficult area, isn't it, Vasco, because it's a very tidal estuary. You get quite a lot of rubbish come down the estuary because it's tidal from the city of Lisbon.
Yes, and especially depending on the wind. If it's a southwest breeze, the whole thing goes into the shores, and of course, with the north wind, some things accumulate near the club because it's the end of a closed bay. So, but you know, I think people in Cascais is quite conscious about it, and they're quite conscious about the importance that these natural resources for us and for the tourism industry and for the sports industry. So we keep a close relation to all these organizations, and we make a big effort to keep the things sustainable and in a proper manner.
Indeed, and we're just, one of the key things we're working with this year is this new initiative, which is Kick Out Plastics, and that was the message at the end of that little video. And Kick Out Plastics is this new initiative. We're working across many different sports with ambassadors from soccer, from tennis, from big sports with big followings, and that allows us to spread the message much wider than just the sailing audience. So anyway, that's our sustainability message just now. Let's look at the scoreboard, just remind ourselves of the situation going on to the water for this big showdown. So Quantum Racing with that 6-point lead. Really, they don't have to do anything beyond sailing nice and clean, get a good start and be in the top 4 or 5 boats, which have managed to do. Just these 2 6th places were problems that they managed to pull back a couple of places here and there, but otherwise it's been a super clean scoreboard for them all the way through. So just keep doing what they've been doing, and Quantum Racing should be able to clinch the title. Platoon are 6 points behind. They're 4 points up in Phoenix, so they're not out of the woods in terms of holding second. Phoenix, as we saw, a great recovery. They were 9th at the top mark, pulled back to 3rd, so that's an indication of what potential they have. They're really a young and hungry team, and so they'll be pushing to try and topple Platoon, and at the same time hold off Allegra. Allegra getting 2nd there, and that's an indication that they want to finish on the podium as they did the last time we were here. Andy Soriano's team a little bit up and down to start with, but putting together a solid series towards the end. And you know, we could see them out there winning races, even winning this last race. Sled then in 5th and 42 points, Value in 6th. Now they ended up with a 9th in that race, so unfortunately seeing them tumbling down the leaderboard. They were 2nd early on in the week with a good number of good scores in the early part of the week. Just a little bit tougher for them in the last couple of days in the slightly stronger breeze. Preveza in 7th, Gladiator in 8th, and Interlodge in 9th. And I believe that Chris Matthews is actually steering the Interlodge today. Just a little bit of intelligence coming off the water. So we're still expecting the breeze to build a little bit more, Vasco, for this race, or are we at max wind strength?
Well, it seems I just was in contact here with the race manager, and they told me that the conditions are pretty stable right now. So we might build 1 or 2 knots more, but that's it for the day. Eventually, it will increase further down after the races are over. Regarding the scoreboard, it's interesting because Platoon has to keep an eye on 2 boats that are just behind them.
behind them.
So
I don't know what they're going to go for, if they're going to put all the chips on the table and try to nail a victory.
I think they have to, don't they? Because, but you know, you say that, but on the other hand, as we keep saying, this is a 5 regatta circuit. Every point counts, every place counts, all the way through, and all the time we're thinking about the end of the season. You don't want to throw all your chips away trying to win the world title when it's the odds are stacked against you like they are for Platoon.
I agree. So probably they will go for a more conservative approach. But you have the two teams that are chasing them are quite motivated. Allegra just came with a score the second place. And Phoenix came out of the doldrums from 9th to 3rd in the race. So they are motivated. So let's see how Platoon is going to manage all these emotions that are flowing through their heads. I don't know. Quantum is going to probably have a relaxed one. And when you say relaxed, you can do beautiful things.
There is nothing relaxed on the Quantum until they come across the finish line.
I can't imagine.
It's a highly motivated, high-octane team where precision and perfection are the absolute watchwords. Anyway, let's have a look on the water. We're going to throw out to Tor Tomlinson, looking quite similar just from the media boat, just off the start line. Conditions looking pretty good, Tor.
Yeah, conditions are quite similar to the last race. Maybe dropped a click or two, actually, but there's some bigger puffs coming down the race course, so it's going to be a really good one again for the final race of the regatta. I'm looking forward to seeing actually who tops off the bottom of the podium. You know, Quantum have just got to sail a strong race here and keep it together and be in the top half of the fleet, but the second and third are what in contention now.
What's your money on then, Tor? Not for the world title, but for
I reckon
who's your podium?
Be, I reckon Platoon might fluff it. I put Phoenix and Allegra behind them.
A vote of confidence from Tor Tomlinson then for the German team, the double world champions. But yeah, I mean, they really they didn't make big mistakes, Vasco. They made tiny little errors perhaps, and just not in terms of their positioning going up that first beat, but you couldn't fault them for their start and their strategy, could you?
No, that's what is more amazing is that little by little they did everything good in that first upwind, but little by little they were, and you don't want to race like that if you are in that boat in a position like that. You are not very happy because you really don't know what went that wrong, because you cannot point to some specific things that really drag you down in the table. But let's see if they can put their game together and keep it.
In other circumstances, as I say, if this was just a standalone World Championship, then of course perhaps Platoon would go at Quantum and try and sail them down the fleet. But because this is all about also the circuit, the 2022 circuit, which is 5 regattas, as I said, then there's less impetus, less possibility of that kind of thing happening, isn't there? I would say. Anyway, just looking at Gladiator and Vayu, everybody wants to finish strong. You're always, as they say, you're always only as good as your last race, and you want to finish this regatta with a strong score, don't you?
No matter how bad the whole thing was, if you win the last race, you go with a smile.
Exactly. So how's it shaping up, Tor? Looking like actually we're seeing potentially Platoon starting alongside Quantum. Phoenix really seem to like to mix it up on the start line, and there are probably 3 or 4 boats down from the windward end of the line. Tor, talk us through this start.
Yeah, so we've got Allegra, Platoon and Quantum towards the lower half of the line. Quantum really going for the middle, but yeah, Quantum and Platoon right in close to each other, and Phoenix quite in the mix. But it's going to be Allegra that get that more powerful start here on the pin end, although they're a boat length or 2 back at the minute. So yeah, Platoon looking nice and strong. They've got some runway to accelerate below Quantum, and Quantum are just bearing away now to do the same. But yeah, Quantum not quite getting a good start as Platoon there. They're just hitting the line now, and yeah, Platoon have hit it with speed and about half a boat length ahead of Quantum, so really, really nice start from there. They might be able to work up and hurt Quantum. And then we've got Allegra here at the pit end and Phoenix a bit further up. So it's going to be a race to the right again, but Platoon in a nice position, controlling both Quantum and Allegra down here at the bottom end of the line.
Indeed, Allegra just not quite as quick off the line as they might have been. Platoon really good time and distance and controlling Quantum early. Quantum just squeezed a little bit, not able to get the accelerator down as they would want to, and now opportunities for Platoon to hold them up, Vasco.
Yes, it is, but we have two early tackers there, so probably, and we have now Vayu going, so I think the fleet will press to the right as faster than in the previous race, so also that will allow clean air for everybody there, so, and then it's pedal to the metal.
So best start once again from Platoon. Really using the same formula. I think in the end probably Quantum just trying to stay in the same piece of water as their main rival off the start line. The Platoon tacking across earlier, getting out to the right and indeed covering Quantum. And Allegra have a nice open clear lane out on this left side and have actually possibly even got a little bit of a lefty, a little bit of a lift.
If the system is correct, those early tackers to the right already building a lead, that can be significant at the end of the port tack. So we have to wait because here is too early to take any conclusion. And again, now is all about boat speed.
It is. Say Allegra probably not super fast off the line, but they're nicely ramped up now. And key thing for them is they can look under the boom and see the entire fleet.
Sometimes not a beautiful show when you are there because
they're going faster and coming up underneath you. But
sometimes it's a beautiful show. It depends.
It's a beautiful shot of your lifting, and
yes,
the breeze is going with you, and you have a nice open lane. But yeah, maybe not. But a little match race between Platoon and Quantum. Quantum sailing quite a high load, which Ed Reynolds alluded to several times when he was with us on the show on day one. This is one of the things they wanted from this new keel fin, was to be able to hold this slender lane off the start line. But Platoon in the end just, I think, powering over them. Platoon with the advantage, but it's Interlodge who are our early leaders, as Vasco said, going out to the early right off the committee boat end of the line. You can see Gladiator furthest right, Paul Goodison, tactician. They would really love a final good race. Sled in the middle of the picture. Phoenix just a little bit buried just now, but
it's a bit packed over there. It's still difficult to call anything.
Yeah.
Then one of the decisive moments is when people, the boats on the right start tacking, and you have those first crossings and the first calls of the ley line, and that's where things start to revolve a little bit.
But in the meantime, Interlodge looking good, a nice clean start. Looking strong, as I said. Chris Matthews steering the boat was our intelligence from the water.
If you recall from the first conversation, this is the trade-off. Or you go for the pin, the 10 extra degrees that the pin gives you, or you tack to the right and go for the shift. And it's a tough call.
I think the balance is more even, perhaps, this time. But I think to our right, I think the breeze is down a knot or a couple of knots, perhaps, to what we saw in the peak in the last race. Overhead shot there of Andy Soriano's team on the Allegra. Allegra really sailing a good regatta here. In the end, conquering the roller coaster and putting together a good finale. If they finish 4-2 and a solid top 3 result, I think they'd be happy with that, no matter what. Such a difficult fleet, though. So hard to win, but very easy to end up with 8ths and 9ths without making too many big mistakes. And this fleet's so close now. It's obviously a development class. It's a box rule class. That, to all intents and purposes, we're nearly in the kind of one design corner because the boats are so refined.
Allegra is holding on to their position, so let's see. They have the advantage as the boats approach a little bit the right-hand side. Sometimes the wind falters a little bit.
Exactly, it goes up and down, doesn't it? Drops and... I kind of think that's what was going on with the Quantum and the Platoon a little bit in the previous upwind, yes. Because Platoon were momentarily slowed and Quantum were absolutely launched. But we'll see when the guys come back to the dock. But the world title means everything to Quantum, as indeed it does everyone else in the fleet. But I know this is one that Quantum said they wanted to win so much. But equally, I spoke with Harmula Spear, who came off the boat yesterday evening, having won the final race of the day, and he was super pumped up, super motivated. Said he was going out to win today, but they have a little bit of an uphill battle.
He's a tough call to make in this fleet.
So super compact shot there on the long lines, but Allegra leading just with sled to leeward, and in the end Quantum deep in this pack. And what's going to happen now is all the boats will flip over from the right. So some nervous moments for the Quantum fans, but the key thing for them is they have Platoon close by and Phoenix. The elephant in the room is the Allegra, though, isn't it?
Yes. Well, but I think that's for Quantum. They only have to care about Platoon right now, and they have to manage their positioning towards them and not let them go very far, even if they are in front of them. Allegra is going to give it all.
Yeah. Big credit to the Allegra team. They really have worked hard since the early season, and they were one of the teams that worked hardest last season when the circuit was so affected by the health crisis. Then Andy Soriano's team did the Copa del Rey, the platform through to the 3 regattas off the 52 Super Series season. So Quantum have tacked out from their position.
Yeah, you don't want. They are anticipating that ley line attack is going to be busy.
Yeah.
So they want to gain in some position and see how things develop, and then choose the right moment to attack and close the gap again to the pack. So. But you don't want to do these very far from the ley line because it can cost you dear.
But at the moment, their key thing is to sail their rivals as close as possible. Coming up to Allegra, and Platoon will be underneath them.
Okay, Interlodge back in the lead. Let's see, but this is about Allegra and Interlodge and sled. Gladiator was in a good position, but somehow misses the speed. No, I guess you know.
That's our projected points at the moment. Close, but this is very, very early in the upwind. 35 for Quantum, Platoon 38, Allegra 40, and Phoenix 43. And Quantum coming back at the group. Phoenix alongside and tacking clear of Platoon. Platoon's best hopes really are putting boats between them and Quantum, and that's not going to happen just now. Victor Marino setting up for the attack on the Platoon.
Probably going to attack in front of Quantum. Another help position.
So Platoon tacking then, we can see Quantum underneath them.
Alright, interesting. They're really close, huh?
Yeah, Platoon just accelerating out of their tack there as we're seeing. So speed building now, Quantum, Platoon at 9.2.
So Platoon probably went for the controlling position on the next deck, where they can tack underneath Quantum, but let's see. Quantum tacking to Bayou. And Platoon probably goes for the tack. Let's see or not. Oh, crosses in front.
Yeah, Platoon, I think.
No, goes for the... That's close. So Quantum now managed to escape under the Bayou stern, while Platoon...
between them.
Yes. That can be interesting, coming to the... gaining a privileged position coming into the first upwind mark.
It's all about waterborne chess, isn't it? It's not just about the boats round about you, it's being able to manage the fleet, manage your other competitors, so you can put a boat or a couple of boats between your main rival. It all helps. Quantum then furthest inshore with Bayou between them and Platoon.
This is a bit like a chess game where you try to anticipate your the next moves of your competitors. The only problem is that you don't only have one competitor; you have another 8 competitors. So you have to it's like a matrix of decisions. So, but it's very interesting.
Indeed it is, and it's you can see the breeze is built. It's quite dotty, it's quite puffy. You can see Quantum just coming more upright in a light patch and perhaps being affected slightly by Phoenix. Quantum have Bayou between them and Platoon, and potentially Sled.
Well, the position depends where they are in the ley line there, because if Bayou and Platoon manage to skip in, but I think they still have to tack one more time. So 1 or 2 definitely, but let's see. So that can potentially wipe out all the advantage of these boats.
There's a wide shot giving us a better view. Platoon furthest to the left, really, off the group.
So with Allegra there on top, Platoon has to start paddling.
Platoon going back on port. On board with Allegra. Nicely positioned. Certainly 1 or 2 first or second just now. Tor, how's it looking where you are?
Oh, well, it's pretty exciting watching these 2 packs go at each other. You know, Bayou, Platoon, and Quantum and Phoenix are all really close to each other. There's a lot of boat-on-boat stuff here, mistakes being made and tacks being done. And yeah, Platoon have just tacked right in front of Quantum, and it was a bad tack actually, so lost a lot there. In fact, they're doing spins as we speak, so I think they might have infringed either Vayu or Quantum just in that boat, yeah.
This is a very big mistake.
Really, really big mistake there.
Indeed, so Platoon doing their turns, we can see the...
I called it!
Platoon doing their turns there, and that's really cost them any chance of beating Quantum, you'd imagine.
And Allegra is leading.
Allegra stepping clear.
Yes, and they climb to second if everything remains the same, no?
Indeed.
And tied with Phoenix.
Everything's open with the exception of the Quantum. I've one hand on the Rolex TP52 World Championship title, and Platoon, that penalty costing them may well cost them the second place. Allegra sailing a nice, solid, simple race, keeping clear of trouble. So we're at the top mark, looking down the ley line. Seeing Quantum and I think Phoenix approaching. These guys cracked a little bit. Sled and Allegra. Clearly a little bit of a right-hander come in for them as we're approaching the weather mark Vasco.
Well, Allegra looks quite strong. They sailed strong the first race. They were second. Probably they are fully motivated and hyped. And I think by Platoon being last in the race, they have an extra motivation. So emotionally, they must be on a high. So I think they will enjoy it and ride it. And the top contenders are far away. So they have a very good chance of a
dream scenario, really, in some respects, for the Allegra, for Andy Soriano's team. In some ways, you might consider they deserve it after the roller coaster they went through in the first few days, but really putting together a strong series, loads of confidence, going fast.
Look at these.
And in the end, Interlodge round in second, Provezza round in third, and very, very busy. Behind, we can see Vayu having to duck behind two, potentially three boats. Sled round after the Provezza. Gladiator. Phoenix deep. And Vayu. And there you see in the end, Quantum and Platoon.
Platoon is amazing. They pulled another great start, and here they are last with a very, very...
Yes, but correspondingly, Quantum Racing as well. Quantum sailed a good start. We're just a little bit controlled, but they're ending up in 8th with their main rivals behind them. That's their only saving grace just now. But as you said, Allegra potentially in second, Platoon potentially losing second step in the podium. Coming into the day, you would consider them with a good chance of the world title, but in the end, it's proving fascinating finale. And you never say that the last days of the Rolex TP52 World Championships don't deliver drama. Remember in Palma, when we had Phoenix with the upper hand and that kite blew up, and really in the end Sled prevailed slightly unexpectedly, but looking good for Quantum just now, certainly in terms of points and getting through the finish line to win the title. But at the moment, Allegra taking the challenge to Platoon. And Allegra going fast now. It's up to Quantum and Platoon to try and pull through the fleet as best they can.
So for now, Quantum seems to be having a walk in the park with just the only boat they have to control. It's the only boat that is behind them, so smooth.
Terry Hutchison looking, I mean, he won't be happy to be 8th, because again, you're talking about a season title as well. And if you lose the season title by a point, you're looking at this race perhaps, but at the moment it's about world titles. Prevets are doing quite nicely down that left side by the looks of things. We're coming down this first run then of the final race. Prevetsa on the left, going well and challenging Allegra. Allegra furthest out to the right. Worked for them in the previous Downwind. Tori, presumably you're close to the Allegra and watching this Downwind.
Yeah, we're on the right-hand side of the course downwind. I was just amazed by that beat there. It was really, really interesting. The two packs that kind of formed, and actually Bayou, Quantum, Platoon and Phoenix all were really close boat-on-boat action, which has led to them all being on the back of the fleet. The other pack went slightly further right and were earlier from the start, but it was Allegra that managed to stay clear of them all after their pin end start and getting over to that right-hand side. So yeah, it'd be good for Allegra to stay in front here, but it looks like Prevetsa got a little bit more puff over on the shore, so they could be making some gains down there. There's lots of nice little puffs coming down the course here. There's a little bit of snakes and ladders going on.
Just looking across there, we're seeing Allegra in our foreground, but a few more white horses and quite gusty now. Allegra, though, things nicely under control, but being challenged by Prevetsa, who are just to the left there, and the Gladiator also on the far left. So Platoon need a couple of boats if they're going to rescue the second step on the podium. Very, very possible given these conditions, as Tor said, snakes and ladders, puffy and gusty, big waves. The Prevetsa are really taking it to the Allegra just now, Vasco.
Yes, it seems that the left-hand side is playing a little bit, probably with a bit of that shore gust that hits there and a bit of the shift. But let's see the crossing. They still have to do a jibe, I think. So let's see, or they come already on starboard. Yes, they come.
Starboard.
Yes, it seems they're going to cross. So it was a very good call.
So Prevetsa second yesterday behind Platoon in the second race. Haven't won a race here. They had a miserable regatta really in Bayona, so it'd be great to see the Prevetsa finish on a high note. It's head-to-head just now with Allegra and the Soriano's team, setting up for the drop. And the leeward gate rounding, Prevetsa coming in with pace. Or certainly Allegra jibing. A little bit slow.
Very.
And meantime, Prevetsa just arced up downwind. Prevetsa gaining a boat length and a half there.
That was a big gain.
Lazy Sheet is still trapped around the front of the kite. Not doing them any favours.
Massive gain for Provezza, definitely. Very good call, that early jibe and to the left on the run.
Gladiator benefited from that side as well, coming down for fourth. Meantime, 8th and 9th, Quantum Racing and Platoon. Quantum maybe have got through Phoenix. They're great boat speeds, 17, 18, 19 knots coming downwind. Platoon fastest on the water, suggesting that the pressure's coming in from the back. What a great images then now as we see these boats coming in towards the leeward gate. But, we have seen recoveries from the Platoon team before many, many times, just when you think it's all over. So certainly don't write them off. But Provezza really going nicely, keeping it tight and controlled. So leeward gate, what would your thinking be, Vasco?
Well, it seems that it's a bit favored again on the right-hand side, so go there, sail 100, 200 meters to the left, grab the pressure, tack to the shore, controlling position. Everybody is going to put pedal to the metal, so it's like, it's a very nice, easy position, controlling one. Let's see what most of the fleet. Sled is going to the left mark.
Well, Sled made a nice gain there. If
yes.
It round in second, Allegra potentially losing that, dropping to third. Handbrake on round, the leeward turn going round at the same time as Sled. Great run from Sled.
Interlock with a bit of problem there. Pulling the main in. They need it so the boat is able to point.
So there's Gladiator then coming through Platoon. They're still seeing them down in 9th. Quantum getting round, I think, in front of Vayu. Platoon going round the outside.
Very Vayu.
Expensive Vayu, just taking them round the outside. Vayu having rights on the mark.
So projected results. Oops.
It's changing all the time, isn't it?
What the
Look
hell?
at that. This is on the strength of Allegra losing a little bit of the leeward turn, but for sure I don't think they're 9th just now.
Yeah, they went to the right hand, the right hand mark, and as Provezza attacked early, that conditioned their position, and so they had to go further to the left. And now they're being menaced by the guys that chose the left hand mark at the gate, and that's the Sled and all the others. So Allegra now in a tough position where they just have to go as fast as possible to that right hand side.
The points so close for second, third, and fourth. Only 2 points separating second and fourth. It's all on. Quantum Racing really looking quite comfortable in the end in terms of points. World Championship is within their reach. Provezza then leading this race. So Tora, good downwind from Provezza.
Yeah, really, really nice downwind from them. They just managed to get a nice little puff and shift on the left-hand side of the course in by the land. It was a really, really good call to go down that side. And Allegra, I think they actually might come out second up here because they dropped early and had a fairly clean mark rounding. Sled rounded the other mark at the same time, but Allegra have just got the nice little lane over to the right, just above Preveza.
This is changing all the time. As Gladiator, I think we're fourth round that lower gate, dropping to fifth just now.
You did not a very good mark rounding and platoon overcome, so that platoon to recover is going to be difficult. So it's up the contenders, Allegra and Phoenix. They have to work. It's on them to make it happen.
Not too much that Phoenix can do, but they're out on this left side. Let the boat do the work, trying to stay out of the traffic. So at the moment it would be going to count back between Allegra and Platoon. Allegra's 3 wins in their scoreline would surely help them. Platoon, I still think the race is not over for Platoon. You see that kind of gain that Preveza made down that run. There's plenty of opportunities, plenty of options.
It seems that the wind is starting to move a little bit to the right.
Not good for the Phoenix.
Not very good for Phoenix.
So is that a trend you see often, is it, or later in the day?
Well, it goes more and more to the right, and
with the sun.
And also there's some gusts. The stronger gusts eventually enter through the shore, near the shore. So, and again, the flat water is also for us. It's important. But well, we are still halfway through the afternoon, so it's
exactly.
But it's Cascais, and I have to say, in case of doubt, hit that right, and there's nobody's going to criticize you for taking that decision.
No. That is the decision, I think, that Hamish Pepper and Colla Parada are taking just now on the Preveza. Said a few times some changes to the Preveza team lineup. Colla Parada, his strategist, he was with Azzurra for many years.
But one team that might catch up a little bit further in the race is Quantum. They are in a good position on the right-hand side. They are fast. They are not very, they don't make so many mistakes, so we might have we can pull further up. Let's see.
And they have a boat between them just now, and Platoon, I mean, Phoenix really not finishing with the finale that they wanted just now. For me, just we've never seen them impose themselves off the start line, but that may be down to strategy. May also be down to the fact they were over the start line earlier on in the week, and then so too were Platoon. And that kind of leads you to the same conclusion that Quantum have made very, very few mistakes. They were unlucky in that second race yesterday, just losing out by a metre and a half and a cross with Platoon.
Quantum and Platoon tack to the early tackers to the left, probably to avoid a bit of that traffic coming in the lane line. The big problem for any Platoon recovery is the fact that they have Quantum in front of them, and they will give them very little space for doing anything in there. So that's Phoenix in front of them. Let's see if Quantum tacks on top of them again.
Well, what do you think?
I think yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
But that might be wrong.
Anyway, we're talking about the era of the 52 Super Series. We've been on the 52 Super Series for 10 years since the circuit started in 2012 in Barcelona. And we will be celebrating a 10th anniversary with a big party in Barcelona in October. But Quantum have won the world title in 2014, 2016, 2018. Of course, there was no World Championship in 2020, but here they are leading with a comfortable points cushion into the final stages of this last race. Only 4 boats have won the world title over that period. Quantum, as I say, 3 times, Platoon 17 and 19, Azura in 2015, and ran back in Miami in 2013, and that was a fantastic finale. As indeed we saw, and of course sled last year in 2021. So
well, if the system is right, Allegra fall dropped from 2nd to 5th by choosing a little bit, by going a little bit further to the left.
Incredible, isn't it?
It's sometimes like these, you don't really know.
It's only when you go through the finish line you know exactly.
Exactly.
How the chips have fallen.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you do a massive mistake or anything. It's just like gravity pulling you down.
And look at the distance between Quantum and Platoon just now.
Yeah.
Anyway, we said the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th was going to be close, and it's proving to be that. We're going to have to wait till we get through the finish line to see how the places play out.
Okay.
Sled doing nicely in 3rd. Good previous run. Got them right up into contention. They came round the Allure gate at the same time as Allegra. Coming back at Allegra on starboard. Allegra just a little bit higher. This tack.
They are in the pressure. Might be able to pull a tack underneath the sled. Yes, that's what they're going to do. I don't think it's close enough to disturb them. Yeah. But anyway, they keep there.
So on board with Allegra. After Gardner, Cash, Renato Stead, navigator Francesco Mongelli.
Sled turns to the right.
You can just see again the breeze inshore. Some boats are fully powered up. Some a little bit more upright, quite gusty and puffy the closer you get to the land. But Privet's a solid lead of over 100 metres. They'll go under the ley line. Quantum just keeping that loose cover in Platoon. As long as they do that, the world title is theirs, and comfortably theirs. So Gladiator in 4th, but quite tight with the Interlodge not too far behind them. All of these boats, as we said in the opening part of this broadcast for this race, you want to finish with a good score. Vasco said you go home with a smile on your face. And you kind of forgot the days previous. So feel good until we get to Puerto Portals next month. So I think they're just what's suddenly bearing off. I don't know whether they have a technical problem.
Might have a penalty.
Well, they weren't near any other boat, but that does look a bit like it. So penalty for Gladiator.
And
Tor, did you see what happened with Gladiator? Just saw them rolling into a penalty.
Yes, I think they just got a little bit close to Interlodge in their tack about a few minutes ago. So yeah, a little bit close, and it just took a bit of time for the umpires to catch up. But yeah, penalty for them, which might have let Quantum through actually. So another boat between them and
indeed, that's the case.
Platoon.
Yep. Just Gladiator get themselves into positions. I've seen it a few times this week in the certainly the top half of the fleet, and then something happens and they end up dropping back down the fleet, and that's the difference between the top 3, top 4 teams and them just now. It's being able to make these positions stick all the way through. And I know that we saw images on our first day when Gladiator was in 4th, coming down the final run and lost the boat. I think Tony Langley was as aggravated by losing a boat as anything else over the course of the week. But all credit in the meantime to the Preveza team. Good first run down the left. It's a passport to their leading position just now. Allegra have actually opened up a little bit of ground on sled, considering the 2 went round the Lure Gate on opposite marks, but at the same time. So a decent lead then, Tor, for Preveza.
Really nice lead for them coming into the top mark here. I'd be surprised to see if anyone gets them on the run here, but you never know what can happen.
You never know, but we've seen Preveza snatch defeat from the jaws of victory before, but certainly in terms of mechanical issues, but really they have the bit between their teeth just now, and nobody's going to take this win from them. Good ley line call from Nacho Postigo, one of the longest serving sailors on the TP52 class. Won the circuit back in 2005, the inaugural circuit with the 52s in the Mediterranean. But there's a handy lead as they come round the top mark. Next, we're looking at Sled and Allegra. Phoenix trying to come in tight from the below the ley line. Sled coming
second.
Yeah, Sled in second, coming for
Allegra third.
Allegra third, actually. So we're seeing this right-hander working just now for Phoenix, but perspectives change all the time. But round in second at the top mark is Sled. Allegra in third. So Allegra round in third, Tor.
Yes, Allegra in third, and actually Quantum's managed to climb back up to 5th with just behind Interlodge. Phoenix are pushing them around the top mark, just coming in behind them, but yeah, Gladiator's got in front of Platoon, so Quantum and Phoenix, Gladiator, then Platoon, with Vayu bringing up the rear in 9th place there.
So Quantum getting round, as Tor said, in 5th. Now got a couple of boats at least between them and Platoon behind Vayu, I think. But really a tough race for the double world champions. Quantum strengthening their challenge. I know they want to take as many places as they can, and working hard. Greg Gindel there on the bow of the Quantum. Nicely settled down this final run, which must be a run to victory. Won the world title here in 2018. I remember the day well. And it was big celebrations on the dock here in the Marina de Cascais. Gladiator in 7th, the Platoon in 8th, and sorry about that, I did say Value were ahead of Platoon, but Value still in 9th. As Tor said, Quantum getting through Phoenix on that. Phoenix on a very tight ley line, trying to get up to the mark. Quantum came across the top of them for 5th, and will be chasing Interlodge down this run. Interlodge in 4th.
Very good job.
Quite a bit of wind pressure in the middle of the course there, Vasco, looking at how the boats are going.
The left today played more often than a normal day. But let's see. The fleet is quite spread over the run, so everybody's playing their cards to see, except I suppose Provezza is a bit ahead. Then everybody has to fight someone, so it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
It is, but look how close it is on the points table for second and third at the moment. Allegre on 41, Platoon on 41, and Phoenix on 42. It's all on this final run. Platoon could take a boat to one place, that would give them second place overall. Likewise, Allegre. Phoenix not out of the match. Big gains and losses to be made down this final run. Quantum just keeping it tight, keeping it simple. Phoenix opting for that left side, looking downwind. The left side paid for them previously, and for Provezza. Allegre, Edosted, and Nick Asher choosing the middle left downwind. Quantum then fully launched, coming down this run. Looks like they're on course for an 8-point win. Platoon and Phoenix tussling for third and fourth. Looking like it may well go to count back for second. Allegre really don't have too many options left now.
Well, it seems Platoon is moving, but it's hard to say, no?
Platoon running out of runway. Likewise, in some respects, Allegre. Don't think they've got enough to get up to sled. So Quantum won here in 2018 by just 4 points.
Quantum is the Quantum is the fastest boat by far right now. That right-hand side must be with more pressure. So let's see, everything is open.
Great images then of Provenza Ergen Imri's team won 2 regattas in the past in Cadiz 3 years ago, and Puerto Portals the previous year. I wonder whether next month could be their return to form on their preferred waters. Certainly love Puerto Portals and the sea breezes on the Bay of Palma, but this is very different to the Bay of Palma. This is full planing, nice sailing all the way through this race from the team on the Provenza. Gain from Phoenix though coming down this run, as we said, this left side.
Again, paying.
Maximum speed. Through Quantum, doing 17 and a half knots. Slingsby, the tactician there, hunched, urging the boat on, looking for another little bit of pressure. So I wonder if the Phoenix can get up to Interlodge. Overhead then with the race leaders, Turkish flagged Provenza. Fast on the finish line. Boat is steered by John Cutler, Olympic bronze medalist in the Finn.
Beautifully sailed this regatta by them.
Yeah.
Very solid.
Interesting, we were listening to Ed Reynolds a couple of days back just talking about the curl of the spinnaker, where you wanted it curling just to prove that, or the Jenniker, just to prove that it's eased to the maximum. So this race now squeezing into the finishing funnel.
So it seems that Platoon is going to overtake the second place.
There we go then, Provenza Ergen Imri's team flying the flag for Turkey, coming through for their first race win here in Cascais at this Rolex TP52 World Championship, leaving it to the last race, but nonetheless still go home with smiles on their faces.
Again, no matter what happened before, they should be happy.
They'll be happy, yeah.
Now we have Sled and Allegra.
So coming through the finish line, the 2021 World Champions giving up their title almost certainly to Quantum Racing. And Allegra coming through in third.
Interlodge. And then Phoenix.
Well, there you go.
Good run again.
Good on the runs. Interlodge then coming through.
And the 2022 World Champions.
That's right, the 2022 World Champions. A big hug for the team. Fantastic images then. Pat on the back for everyone all the way through the team. They've worked hard for this. Platoon then, disappointment for them. didn't make too many mistakes other than that penalty which cost them. Gladiator coming through next. Platoon and Quantum in the end finishing 6th and 7th, Gladiator 8th.
And Vayu having a bit of a trouble in the breeze today,
Yeah,
correct?
I think it's a learning process for them. They need to do more in the breeze. Not easy. Big hug for everyone on board. Terry Hutchison, super delighted. He is the consummate professional, the consummate perfectionist who drives this team, and they don't need much driving. Everyone does their job as close to perfection as possible. Greg Gindel there on the bow, Doug DeVos there, fully dressed up in the Southern Ocean kit. Federico Michetti, the trimmer. Special words between Doug and Terry. They have a really, really strong bond, and they've won a few titles before. So the 2022 World Champions are Quantum Racing. Don't think there was too much doubt going into that final race, but they had to execute. And a few nervous moments, but their points tally was such that they really needed to just get round the course and finish with Platoon behind them, ideally.
It was a very tough day for Platoon. They pulled 2 amazing starts, but somehow gravity.
Portuguese gravity.
That was heavy. Well, there will be.
I mean, it's hard, isn't it?
It is.
It's hard because you come to a venue where you've never really been able to impose yourselves, and it's the kind of their bogey venue. And though it's been a light wind week, it's not been the best week for Platoon, especially not today. But it has been a week for Quantum Racing. Let's see how that race played out. As we said, off the start line, well, it was Allegri at the pin end. Platoon really did nicely on their time and distance. They have Quantum in their pocket at that point. Going across now.
But slowly the wind started.
Yeah.
Going to the right, and they start losing a bit, and then get a bit confused, and they had this penalty that just killed them.
That was it. That was Platoon's penalty, and then coming around the top mark. Now, down this first run, it was really a big gain for Ergen Imri's team on the Preveza. That gave them enough to launch themselves into the lead, and which they held all the way around the course. So a great win for the Preveza. Sled and Allegri were close most of the way around the track, but great conditions watching Preveza coming away from the top mark. Second round there is Sled. Quantum a little bit deep, but they made a gain there. And then down this final run with no mistaking the race winners, Preveza. Then Sled and Allegri, Quantum Racing are the world champions, as we could see the minute they came through. Platoon a little bit unlucky, they've sailed a great week, but just a little bit too many small mistakes on the final day. Anyway, Quantum Racing then winning the World Championship by 6 points, 27 points, 33 points to Platoon, who end up second with 4 points in hand over Phoenix. Allegri then that third in the final race, not enough. You know, if they had won, it might have been a different story. But in the end, fourth for Allegri, a great regatta for them, all in all, finishing strong. Sled in fifth, 42 points. The previous world champions. Vayu, I think, will be reasonably happy with sixth, given the conditions over the last couple of days. But a learning process for them in sixth at 45 points. Preveza, 53 on seventh place. Eighth, Gladiator, 65. And Interlodge finishing with a fourth and ninth place. So that is pretty much the World Championship story done and dusted. And Quantum Racing then coming ashore. Terry Hutchison just ordering the champagne, I think, on the VHF, making sure there's a few cold beers for the team. And as ever, it's a team effort, isn't it? It's not just about the guys on the boat.
No, those boats work like a Swiss clock, and it's amazing.
Like a Rolex.
Like a Rolex. It's amazing to see how a machine works in perfection with no noise. Everybody knows what they have to do at the specific time. So it's amazing.
Being able to rely on the person next to you, and that's really what they did.
Yeah, but you repeat and you repeat until that trust is built, and there's and you know, repetition makes good. There's no room for mistake at this level.
Indeed, Vasco. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
A little insight into everything that's going on in Cascais at the moment. Good luck with your business and everything that happens here. Thank you so much.
Hope to see you again here.
Indeed. Here's hoping a few more Pasadonatas and Superbox.
Let's go.
Let's go. Anyway, next month we're in Puerto Portales, back to the Mediterranean. Very different set of conditions. Join us then. We'll have a live tracking all the way through the week in Puerto Portales. Thank you so much for following us at the Rolex TP52 World Championship, and the world champions are Quantum Racing.